Welcome back to the Convo Couch, ladies and gentlemen. I am Pasta Jardula.
I'm Fiorella.
And Johnny Sue Martel is on the ones and twos. How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for joining us. We were out yesterday doing some things, but we're back today. We've had a lot of great response on some of our latest videos, especially the Tulsi Gabbard one. A lot of people are talking about on The View. They can't find a full clip of the whole show. Guess what? Our Johnny Sue on the ones and twos made sure that it was possible that we have the whole interview, the whole slaying of Joy Behar.
Behar
on
I just like saying her name.
on our YouTube channel as well. Guys, thank you so much. I'm going to say we have a Rockfin. I don't know if we told you guys. We try to tell you every single day, but Rockfin now has an app. There's an app for that. It's the Rockfin app. And you can check out our great content over there. It is a cryptocurrency-based platform, which is very, very important because we don't want to deal with these neoliberals, establishment, fascist, sons of bees, Google-owned peeps over at the YouTubes, do we, fam?
No, fam.
No. So let's just send a couple shout-outs and want to get started because fam's got a lot of things to talk about. She's been dying to get in the studio just like me.
Dying.
66 people have joined in watching over at the Convo Couch. Check it out. Look at that. Rockfin, guys. Boom.
So is the app available now?
The app is available now. Wow. Guys, go over there and join. You don't have to endorse us just yet. If you have a few bucks, you wanna talk about the endorsement.
I would love to have your endorsement.
Yes.
We also have a Patreon.
Patreon, help us out. We have almost 80 patrons. Thank you guys so much. And yes, calm down over here in the MCSC chat. We will get to Kshama Sawant. Ryan Robinson's there. SS, yes. Doc Sarg, Reese Mack. How you doing, Reese Mack? Black Star, GOAT, the GOAT. Thank you for joining the Convo Couch on a beautiful Saturday. The weather is looking great.
The weather is hot. It was 90 degrees out. I was canvassing for Bernie. And what actually happened is Tulsi ended up coming into the conversation because of her View appearance. And these people were conservatives, and they were like, oh, we like Tulsi. And I'm like, oh, yeah, she's great. She's Bernie's friend. They're awesome. I really like her and blah, blah, blah. And the person
really nice.
I was canvassing with really liked her, too. So
I like to hear that out there. I really like to hear it.
Really
I still
nice.
think we need the team. Yeah. Over on the Convo Couch YouTube, David Mazel's there. What's up? First, he says, yes, you are, David. You get a cookie. 3-putt Willie, Connie Kekshett, Jesus Zamora, my dog, how you doing? Drew Haley, Gregory Wonder Wheel, I love that way. Frederick Murphy, how you doing, fellow peoples? Upstate Raider, and Jordan Deck are all hanging on out at the Convo Couch YouTube with my girl, the Super Progressives. We love you. Up on the Facebooks, fam, Gabriel Ramirez was there.
What's up, Gabriel?
Hi, Roshan. Roshan's there. Say hi to Roshan, everybody. We love Roshan. Jackie Pagao is there. Guys, like, share, subscribe. Let's get into it. We got a lot of things to talk about because next week, fam, we have the KDM convention where we might get thrown out of. We'll be there hanging on out. A lot of things going on. A lot of things to cover. A lot of protests to hear about. This party is at war with each other, especially in California. It is not as cozy and as united as you might think it is. It is divided.
Extremely divided.
And we also have another form of division coming into the race right now, don't we, fam?
What, fam? Money?
Oh, yes. Another billionaire.
Yeah. So more and more billionaires are thinking that they're in danger, right? And I think they're scared because they're scared that they're seeing Bernie Sanders fill up these stadiums and these rallies with thousands of people. They're scared seeing Tulsi Gabbard rise on the polls steadily. And so I believe that people are scared when they look at someone like Tulsi Gabbard rising in popularity with the media. People are like, who is this woman? And more people are talking about her. And that's the military-industrial complex, the DNC. They're very afraid of her. But when it comes to the billionaires and the corporations, they're, I believe, 100% scared of Bernie Sanders and his people power and his movement and everything that's come. And they're not going after Elizabeth Warren because Elizabeth Warren is still going to fall in line. So what's been happening is that these billionaires are starting to pop up. And Bloomberg decided that he was going to run too.
Independent Bloomberg?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is awful because this is actually, it's just funny to me because everybody's like, well, Tulsi Gabbard wants to run third party. It's like, no, this is a guy that wants to to run third party or wants to at least enter the race very late. And even as a Democrat, and if he were to do that, it would automatically hurt all those Democrats. I mean, fine, like do it, but it would just it's just like creating more and more conflict because there's so many people now, and it just makes it harder for other candidates to keep up, like like the Marianne Williamsons, the Castros, the Yangs. And so it's ridiculous at this point, and the only reason he's doing it is because he can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it gets to this point right now. It's like it's his ego either coming into play, or he's there as a mole to kind of distract, pull away. I mean, I think at this point, the true progressives in this race, are Bernie and Tulsi, and they want to convolute the waters. I think maybe he's an independent coming from New York. Maybe he'll get some independent votes, they might think, and detract away from Bernie and Tulsi getting
because
some of those independent votes.
They get
maybe.
those votes. That's the thing. Like they get some of those Republican votes, those independent votes. And when somebody like Bloomberg comes along, it does hurt them. But I think also Bloomberg says he's an independent, but he pretty much operates like a pretty much establishment type of elitist.
He's
exactly.
An elitist. I mean, doesn't he hang out with elitist people, John? Do we have a picture of somewhere, maybe a picture of him and an elitist?
Yeah. I think we found a pretty.
Who's what? The man? The 5 people you hang with, right? The top 5 represents who you are. Maybe this guy hangs out with this person too much, Johnny.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Oh,
Ghislaine Maxwell. There he is.
It would be a shame if this picture went viral. It would be a shame. Not that it really matters anymore nowadays because, the company you keep, when you're an elitist fam, the law doesn't apply to you. You get to get off on whatever, I mean, nobody's been brought to justice like we talked about. But here is, once again, I just want to point out, Bloomberg is an elitist billionaire. Okay, we don't need him in this
We don't need another billionaire.
Again, didn't we just have Steyer jump in this
thing?
I mean, please. So, but
it's just annoying. They're so scared. They're throwing anything they can to stop Bernie Sanders. They already said they would, and so this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Any ranch.
Well, who do you think is going to win the nominee? Because I heard somebody else knows who's going to win the nominee.
So I don't know, fam, but Hillary Clinton knows. Hillary Clinton said that she knows who the nominee will be. So people like to tell us, like, can you stop talking about Hillary Clinton? 2016 is over. Get over it. But Hillary Clinton keeps inserting herself inside this race. So of course we're going to talk about it because she continues to haunt us.
How can we miss you, Hillary, if you don't go away?
Does not
How can we miss you? Go away.
You want to play this?
Yeah, let's play this. Please. Show this and stuff like that. Here she goes again.
Will you support whoever the candidate is on the Democratic side?
Yeah, sure.
100%.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because I think I know who they're likely to be.
Who are they? Who do you think it's going to be?
I'm not going to go that. I'm not going to go there. Now, look, I think that we have to measure the risk to the country, and look, it won't surprise you to hear me say I think that another term of our current administration would be deeply damaging to our economy, to our society.
So you said it
going to be?
I'm not going to go that. I'm not going to go there. Because I think I know who they're likely to be.
Who are they?
And then she has this Machiavellian laugh, and then she's like, "Well, we're not going to go into that." So, what? It's just she's like, and then when he asked her, "Are you going to vote for the nominee?" She's like, "Yeah, sure." It's not even confident.
Yeah.
It's like she's not gonna. She's not.
Who goes and sees this person?
Wouldn't.
Who's the people in the audience? Who goes and sees this woman right now is what I want to know. This woman is gross. I mean, really. I mean, I don't want to really throw trash or shade or get really, really violent stuff like that. But at what point do we say, come on? And people are still propping up and praising this woman? I know the people at the convention will be propping up and praising this woman. I mean, ridiculous.
Yeah, it's disgusting. She's gross. She needs to go.
Can we talk about a good politician, somebody we like, somebody we can get behind, fam? Like somebody who's like a person like yourself, like a socialist. Like, who could you get behind?
So,
yes.
Breaking news.
Kshama
Sawant won her city council district race. At the very last minute, she started getting more votes, and she beat $1.5 million of
Bezos money.
Yeah, of Bezos money. And it's really important because she was such a great voice in that. And I believe she should, after this, she needs to run for Congress after serving city council. I mean, I think she'd be great. I think we need that sort of mind. I mean, she's
Senate.
Changed. Yeah, she's changed.
Why not go right for the Senate?
I don't know. I mean, she could,
let's go after
but
Adam
she's
Smith
changed
and get
a
his
lot.
ass out of there.
That's true.
Right?
Wait,
in 4
is he
years?
Senate? No, he's Congress.
He's Congress. He is. My bad. Who's
Congress.
the senator? Whatever the senator over there. We don't know him well
Yeah.
enough. We got to get rid of him.
Yeah, no, yeah. He's
Yeah.
I mean, just revitalizing Seattle in a way that's more progressive and fighting against this huge company, which is Amazon, which owns a lot of the city. To me, is like unprecedented. Like I haven't seen that anywhere. I think she's probably one of my favorite politicians.
Yeah, she's
there,
awesome.
so.
And you know, we everybody jumped the gun, but it reminded us of like the first time we looked. The 2016, remember when I made a call to Seattle, like, Sarah Smith is not going to win. Sarah Smith is not going to win. And they told us, listen, the Seattle, the way they do the count, the votes, it's once a day, public. So they wait. So every day. So the early voting comes in. Obviously, the mail-ins are there. Those are counted. So it usually favors the person who's more centered to the right. But the late voting coming in, you know us, we get out there on the last day and we go and vote. The progressive votes, they come in later. So even though she was there, she was like a secretariat, just waited for the back stretch, and then she started charging. And all these votes started coming in, and Kshama Sawant is now back in office. City Council, Seattle. I think that's
Great
awesome.
victory.
Yes. All right.
And
So when
that article was updated as of today at 1:33 p.m. Pacific time. I
Pacific
believe.
time. So
And then Amazon poured 1.5 million into the
1.5.
into that specific race. I think overall they spent 4 million.
Yeah.
yeah, and they haven't spent that much in one race, a city race, like ever.
So I made a meme. It says when you pour 1.5 million into the Seattle City Council race, but the Socialist wins.
Terrible.
And I tagged Bezos.
Awful. What's wrong with you?
I tagged Bezos, and we're tweeting that
Oh,
right
fuck.
now.
With a Q. So we got some super chat contributions coming on in on the Convo Couch YouTube. Thank you so much for your super chat contribution, and they are always appreciated on the couch. Mocracy says, sadly, Tim Black smeared Tulsi Breitbart interview. I did not see that yet, and I will.
We were
look
going to
that
talk
up.
about it.
I'm sure we'll get to it.
I've seen it. All she did was say that both parties are corrupt and they both should be held accountable. A lot of people are against people going on Breitbart. One of my good friends wrote an article for Breitbart.
It's ridiculous.
She's a progressive, and she wrote an article kind of fixing the smears about Tulsi, and I thought that was great. And a lot of people were against that. A lot of her friends were like, "Why would you do that? Why would you do that? That's wrong." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't like Breitbart, but if I can like fill it with a progressive voice, I really don't see the problem. Like she's not writing for them from a right-wing perspective. She's a progressive. And so that's how I feel about Tulsi going on these shows. It's like we need someone to make sense to these people. If even one or two people hear what she has to say and they can get her registered as a Democrat to vote for her, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather have them vote for her than vote for another Republican.
Yeah.
It's a strategy.
And it's smart, fam. We've talked about this too before in the house. It's not just a vote. Like at least 25% of her votes, Tulsi votes, like no other candidate. It's a vote pulled away from Donald Trump.
Right.
Okay, so it's
if you
want
to defeat Donald Trump, what is like?
Tulsi needs
I
to be
don't
there.
understand.
She's the only one that really truly poaches. I mean, Bernie Sanders has got some.
Bernie
allure,
Sanders gets
but
a
not
lot of that.
Like Tulsi, she's gonna poach. I mean, Breitbart's going out to
he's
watch
not
her.
going on Breitbart. That's the thing. He went on Fox. He's going on a few independent media shows. He went on Joe Rogan, to the dismay of many on the left, and that helped him more than anything.
Yeah.
The moment he went on Joe Rogan, all these Republicans were like, "Oh wow." Well, the media paints him as a crazy socialist. He's really making a lot of sense. That's because when you remove the labels, because when I talk to conservatives, and today I was canvassing, they're like, "Oh, I don't like Bernie's socialist, the idea that he's a socialist." I'm like, well, he's really not a socialist, you guys. He's an FDR Democrat. Like, you have to talk to people in a way where you're not lying, but you're really telling them, like, look, forget about the word socialist. These are things that matter to people. Hillary didn't campaign in Michigan. She forgot the Midwest, and they were like, yeah, that's true. And that's the thing. Both of these candidates relate to people at a very genuine, honest level. They're going to go shake your hand. They're going to talk to you about what issues are affecting you deeply, and that's it. And so if I can get one of them to go on a Republican popular show, I think to me that is a great idea, and I think we need to stop twisting our panties in a bunch over them doing that, and how stop. You're not going to win an election by that.
It's the same tactic that the Democrat establishment does. It's divide and conquer. They trash people. They smear them. You can't talk to these group of people. Whatever they say is bad. Hey, the truth is the truth. Whoever mouth it comes out of. We say this all the time. I stand for the truth. And when you asked Tulsi Gabbard that question about Kashmir, The guy who asked the follow-up question right after, he was from Breitbart. We were talking to him. He was a really smart guy, a nice guy. We saw him on Larry King the other day, politicking.
He was on Larry King.
He's a smart guy. He's not really an asshole. Just because they're conservative or on the right doesn't make them bad or evil, whatnot.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that they're a racist and whatnot, because it's just this whole kind of tactic that the Democrats are still employing. It's bullshit. And if she goes on Breitbart, good. As long as she's speaking the truth, as long as she's not pandering, then I don't care. But if she starts pandering, it's a different situation.
Right.
Yeah. And then the pandering sucks on either end. The pandering on the left or the right.
Super chat contribution from Mandy, who says, "Aye, Kshama is dope and crazy smart. Glad she won. We're glad she won too, man.
Yeah, she is. She's smart.
She's wicked smart.
Wicked
crazy
smart.
Democracy says, sadly seeing Tim Black praise Michael Brooks. Don't tell me that, because if I see that, I'm going to be really
happened.
disgusted.
That happened.
Well,
so did Abby.
I'm gonna be,
Michael Brooks. I'm not going to say
Ari
anything to
Kalinsky
him
did
personally. I just feel like it's pretty much like, here's my candidate. I'm just going to do videos supporting my candidate. That's fine, but that's not real media. That's not. You have to cover other people, not just your candidate. Let me just remind everybody, when you go canvassing, when the whole thing is to be positive to everyone, right? When you go, you're supposed to talk to people who may hate Bernie or who may hate whoever your candidate is. That's how we should act. Like, when it comes to media, like, you have to talk to people who disagree with you. You have to interview people who you disagree with. It has to happen. So if you're going to call yourself media, and not just a sycophant of a candidate, and then just having this very narrow view that doesn't really help anybody, because you're not knocking on doors, you're just putting out information that best suits your narrative, then don't call yourself media. You have to look at the big picture, look at what's going on, and that's it. And you don't have to smear another candidate and tell about a candidate to prop up yours. Bernie props himself up. I don't need to smear anybody. Elizabeth Warren hurts herself because a lot of the things she says are lacking in integrity. So it's really about being honest, like being an honest person. Like, is this good that this person is saying? Yeah. Did Trump say something good? Yeah. Do I like him? No. But it doesn't mean, we have to let those things influence us. So.
And, it's good to talk to people you don't agree with. There's somebody on the Facebook, I want to welcome Kyle Warlitz. And I remember getting into Kyle Warlitz on Facebook about the Russian narrative and whatnot. We didn't agree, but there were other areas where we did agree a lot on. So you're not going to agree on everybody. People are going to disagree on certain areas, certain things. But It's good to get in there and talk about the things you disagree about. So hi, Kyle Warlitz. To the show. Gilbert Flores is also there. And thank you so much,
I just want to side note before we move on, just recommend everybody to go canvassing, because when you go canvassing, you talk to people who don't agree with you.
Yes.
And they flat out tell you. I had to talk to an Elizabeth Warren supporter.
Well, that was hard.
And that was, to me, harder than talking to a Republican, because it doesn't make sense that you were supporting Elizabeth Warren. He said he cared about the military funding and the environment. I'm like, those two things are not what she's leaning on. And so those are the conversations that I like having, because it's like, okay, then how am I going to defend? How am I going to say, it's obvious to me, I know about Bernie's policies, maybe he doesn't. And so we have to know how to talk to people.
Super chat contribution from Louise Brooks on the CONVO Couch YouTube. Thank you for the super chat contribution, as it is always appreciated on the couch.
Fam, you're too much today.
Getting the MSG outside the Bumble is the only way to get non-voters to the poll.
The message, yeah.
The message. Mm-hmm. Okay, the MSG, baby. It's not like MSNBC will help, and they will not. Who will help? Shows like this. Because we're going to talk about some stuff today we talked about months ago. We were speaking about a certain guy who got released, but somebody on a certain show, independent media, who were parroting the words of the greats of, like, Glenn Greenwald, who I have to give big ups to. That's important. Yeah. We have to continue to say these words. We talked about the Pink Dolphins months ago, fam, and it's important, the Pink Dolphins. So thank you for the super chat contribution. Let's get on to the next thing. Does anybody have anything to say before we get on to the next topic, fam?
No, just do your thing.
Let's do it. So we're going to talk about Epstein.
Epstein, of course.
No, we have to talk a little bit about Epstein. It's been coming back in the news. I think I had a little breakdown the other day.
Are messaging you about it.
They are.
Yeah.
And, they said, why aren't you covering Epstein as much?
They do. They yell at us if we don't cover it. So.
But I said why. Because a lot of new information hasn't come to light, and the elites are once again shielding and hiding stuff. I'm going to go on record now and say that, I once defended Donald Trump when it came to this situation because I thought he wasn't involved. I'm going to say poo-poo kachoo to Donald Trump because he has let William Barr still stay on the case, who is definitely a contradiction, of his father really hired Epstein, you know what I'm saying? So he should not be on this case, and nobody has gotten arrested. Nobody's come to light. Andrew, who they call him Prince, Ghislaine Maxwell, these people will be here tomorrow if the elites wanted them and turned on them.
Yeah.
But instead, they're out rummaging and rambling around.
And if Donald Trump really wanted to make a stand against these people and these pedophiles and the Democratic Party, he would have arrested them.
Yeah.
And he's not doing
He's
it
not doing
probably
anything.
because he's involved in
Yes.
it. And so bottom line, they're all involved. They're all dirty. They're all elites. They're all friends. They're all part of his club. And that's it. And it's gross. And once you start investigating how they're all connected to each other, it gets even worse.
Yeah. And fam, I said that. I believe that Donald Trump was a lot more innocent than the Clintons. But you know what? I don't believe that any of them now. And I am very disappointed with Donald Trump that he has not done anything. Nobody has been arrested. Nobody's playing accountable. So that's why I moved away from the story. Because even if we find more information, guess what? Nothing's happening. Nothing's gonna happen. Nobody's been arrested. They pretended like Epstein's dead. And even the mainstream media started, well, nothing can happen now that he's dead. Nothing, you know what I'm saying? They're even part of the whole thing too as well. But the reason why I wanted to do another story over here, we didn't get to the other day when we were talking about Epstein, is that it's going to come out. There's some links to some people, one of them we know in particular, that might know something we don't know, but there are some connections. And I want to start off with talking about this gentleman named Michael Kives. And one of the guys who actually works for the MCSE network, he's part of our network now. His name is
Robledo?
No, it's Robbie Jagger, right? He wrote this Medium article. Let's pull this up. We're going to go to the Medium article first, John. It says, Tulsi Gabbard has enemies in high places. And that was by Robbie Jagger, who is an MCSC network contributor. Pretty much just talks about what had happened, what had transpired. Some information came to light. If you look down right in the middle, you're going to see this letter right here, and it was to Representative Gabbard, okay? But what's more important is who wrote the letter. And this was revealed by WikiLeaks, and it says, we were very disappointed to hear that you would resign your position within the DNC so you can endorse Bernie Sanders. Now, remember, this is 2016. She decided to walk away. When she did this, she was in line. She was the vice chair to Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Absolutely.
She was ready to be, she gave up her power. And it pretty much just goes on to say, for you to endorse a man who has spent almost 40 years in public office with very few accomplishments doesn't fall in line with what we previously thought of you. Hillary Clinton will be our party's nominee, and you standing on ceremony to support a sinking Bernie Sanders ship is disrespectful to Hillary Clinton, a woman who spent the vast majority of her life in public service and working on the behalf of women, families, and the underserved.
Yeah, bombing them and jailing them and all that stuff.
Now, here's the important part, the last sentence. You have called both myself and Michael Kives before about helping your campaign raise money. We no longer trust your judgment, so we will not be raising money for your campaign. Darnell Strom, and Michael Kives. Now, that's the thing that's been resurfacing right now because there's some rumors about Michael Kives, and we'll get to that.
I just want to say, fam, as a Bernie supporter, I have to say, like, when I read stuff like this, I feel for Tulsi. Because I feel like, and Tulsi supporters, because I feel like you guys are getting attacked constantly, and I know this because I'm like always defending. But it's like really, like, what, like, did we forget what it meant for somebody who was chosen by the DNC, who was chosen and almost like groomed to be the next big face of the Democratic Party, the next, Hillary Clinton type, to literally go, and the things they say about Bernie, like a sinking ship, that he has accomplished nothing. That
very
is
few
ridiculous.
accomplishments.
Are you kidding me? Not only is that a lie, it's ridiculous at how untrue that is, and to smear, like, to just go after her because she simply had her own opinion and her own thought. Yeah, it's disgusting.
Now, it is disgusting so bad.
Just
like
reading that.
I start thinking about, I don't know why these people, like a lot of the Bernie supporters who kind of get on Tulsi, don't see the parallels, the almost identical attacks and what's really going on.
Right.
Because when she walked away from this party, the reason why this is important, now, first of all, that letter was given to us by WikiLeaks.
Yeah.
So you know it's something that they're kind of giving you the carrot, like, go ahead and go down the rabbit hole, ladies and gentlemen. But who is Michael Kives? Well, Michael Kives was one of the top agents at CAA at the time. And he's connected to all nexuses of talents, contents, brands, technology, sports,
what's
live
CAA?
events. CAA is Creative Artist
Agency.
Agency. Creative Artist is one of the biggest talent agencies. It is the biggest talent
Arguably
agencies.
the biggest one.
Yeah.
Where if you're an A+ actor, like you've made it, you've gotten what you need to get.
You don't go apply at CAA. They come to you.
Yeah.
You know, and say,
you can send in something, they're not gonna get back unless you it's just you. They come to you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And especially her going after, Tulsi going after Kamala, who's once again on their payroll. And you could go on this in this particular article, and there's a list of clients down below. And I just want you to get the grasp of this, because Graham talked about it on our show. All these people are connected. They're all working together. And on that CAA list of clients down below, you'll see Anderson Cooper, Alyssa Milano, Anna Navarro, Bill Maher, Bob Schieffer, Bob Woodward, Chris Como, Dan Pfeiffer, Donna Brazil, Jim Scioto, Joe Biden, Van Jones, Stephen Colbert, Whoopi Goldberg, UTA. Now, UTA, we talked about this. UTA was the subdivision.
It's the subdivision.
CAA, what's his name? Strawman left CAA to start UTA. So once again, it's just another arm. It's just another area where they can just keep the book separately.
What's UTA? Is
United something
talent agency?
Yeah,
I
United
think it's what it
Talent
is.
Agency. It is a brand, a knockoff of CAA, started by Strawman. He walked off and started that. So then you have the UTA clients now. Anna Kasparian, Ben Shapiro, Cenk Uygur, Chuck Todd, Dana Bash, Don Lemon, John Kasich, Jake Tapper, Jim Acosta, Michael Moore, Papa Harlow, Rod Rosenstein, and Sir Howard Stringer, the Sony chair board. You can see how it's all connected. So when you walk away from these people, fam, you are walking away from pretty much every single piece of media, entertainment, social media. You're declaring, you're walking away from the Lannisters by yourself with nobody but a Bernie Sanders hanging out in friggin' what's that up there? Winterfell, waiting for you.
Winterfell.
And you better get over there and recruit, because these people can absolutely crush you, fam.
I'm just wondering on Michael Moore, because are they gonna ditch him after he became one of surrogates for Bernie?
No.
He's
no, because he's still anti-Trump as can be. He still points the finger at Trump for everything. You know what I'm saying? There's a certain type of Bernie supporter that they'll take. Ones who will still keep their eye on Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I feel like that's everybody. Nobody wants Donald Trump to be president.
Yeah, but I'm not. But I mean, there's a lot of the people we follow, and I should say myself. I'll just talk about myself. But I just don't like only anti-Trump. Trump to me is the symptom.
Right.
Right.
That doesn't mean that you don't speak out against the things
I know,
he does.
but when you're going to blame Donald Trump for everything and not hold your own party accountable for
Donald Trump.
But
I think the better way to phrase it is, you have to hold. It's people that don't hold the Democratic Party accountable. That you have to. It's not that Donald Trump has done a lot of things wrong, and nobody's saying that he hasn't. But it's you have to hold the Democratic Party accountable.
I mean, once again, you have to tell the truth. The truth is the truth, no matter where it comes from. And a lot of times, like I said, they manufacture consent. Oh, he's evil. We have to impeach him on Ukraine Gate. Okay, well, what happened in the Ukraine? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're not holding one side accountable,
Right.
only this side. And to me, I think Donald Trump is still the boogeyman that WikiLeaks showed us when Hillary Clinton said, let's put him out there. He's the Pied Piper guy. We can just be anti-Trump all the time because people will just vote against Trump and not vote for us because we're not going to give him anything anyways. So that's the big thing. So you're right. I should probably frame that right. But let's talk about something that was just leaked just recently. It's a guy by the name of George Webb. Now, George Webb, who is he? George Webb is a self-funded investigative reporter who has his own YouTube channel. He's got about 70,000 subscribers. And he's one of these guys, he's just driving around. He's usually in court a lot. He sits through these hearings. He follows a lot of leads in intelligence and governmental cases. He likes to connect the dots. Cases like Burisma, CrowdStrike, Seth Rich, Roger Stone. And, of course, he has a lot of ties and knows a lot of stuff about Epstein and Epstein's inner circle. Well, a couple weeks ago, he appeared on this guy, Farmer Jones' channel, who's kind of Farmer Jones is like another spin-off of George Webb. He's just going out there. Farmer Jones, I believe he went to Utah and saw he talked about the United Nations taking over a building. I'm not sure, but he's kind of like a spawn-off of like this intelligence, connect the dots. Look,
We'll get the comment.
here's George Webb bringing up a certain thing. Now we're going to watch a little bit of this and look at his theory. Now, once again, fam, I can't connect all the dots on his theory because you can't just Google CIA programs and what's going on. But let's take a look at what George Webb, he's on the right, and what he said to Farmer Jones the other day.
In the recorded version. So let's go back to this because I love the way we digress and ramble around the courtyard. What about business of operations in country? Domestic CIA ops. You said if they set up a joint task force, they can do it. Let's get around it. So what do they have? The counterintelligence program?
Yes.
Trump? It's
Yeah.
a Gladio program, it sounds like. Would you say this is a Gladio type program against the
Yes.
protesters?
I do think.
48. You got to go to 48, 45. Hold on one second. We got to get the right clip here. No, it says 48, 45.
What other shadows or lurk in the hearts?
Okay. Well, so Tulsi used to be a legislative aide, and I've been in her office. I've talked to a lot of people who she worked for. She worked for this Akaka is his name. What a name, right? Senator from, and then she worked for Hirono, and then she Hawaii, yeah. Yeah. And she started that in 2008, but she was encouraged to go back into the military in 2004 because she ran for some like dog catcher in Honolulu on the city council, and they were kind of building her up to be the war girl. You know, she was going to be advertising for the Iraq War, a press agent for the Iraq War, and then they sent her to Capitol. Well, they sent her back to Iraq in 2004, sort of as she was in the police, the MPs, but that was going to be kind of her cover. And she was going to be this, hey, this veteran for peace, and she's real pretty and everything. And even when she was on from 2008 to 2012, when she ran for Congress for the first time, even though it says she wasn't working on Capitol Hill, she still was. She was still working for Hirono. It was sort of a kind of a make-work job that they just needed some time on the Hawaiian Council. But anyway, there's this guy named Kives, kind of looks like knives, rhymes with knives. And he's this Hollywood producer.
It's like Smith Munt rhymes with bunt. Okay.
Yeah, I'm losing battery here. Okay. But you get the idea that he lives in Ohio. He lives by Strongsville. He's got 3 different houses in Ohio, but yet he's also a top talent agent, right? Like one of the top.
Talent for what?
Well, for the well, he's taking these girls that come into this European adoption agency, and they're kind of doing culling them, these beauty contest winners. Some are going to be models for Victoria's Secret, for Les Wexner, but some of them can act. Some of them that have good enough English skills can act. Or I hate to think of what industries they all ended up in. And I was trying to pull my tooth out earlier today, so I cut my lip. I'm sorry. I had a pair of pliers. So sorry about that. So I might be bleeding.
I mean, bottom line, the people are just coming in and they're all upset because they just got notice. So
you can watch it again.
Yeah,
watch it again.
Look up live.
Is that it?
On Memorex.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so he kind of makes a connection with Michael Kives. Now, George Webb, once again, has not always been the most reliable when it comes to information. He's been off. He always gets his dates mixed up and whatnot. But, we saw that letter with Michael Kives on it. And then I remember Robbie Jagger writing this article, and we start looking at things and we start saying, hey, what's going on? What did she know? Because it seems like that when she was plugged in with these people, she knew Michael Kives, or we don't know. But he goes on to talk about Michael Kives running a talent agency for beauty schools. In other words, from overseas beauty schools where he's recruiting all these women and whatnot. Now, Michael Kives, I can't find any connection with him with Wes Lexner, but he has 3 houses in that town. And a lot of people are saying that Michael Kives used to get some of the talent and give them over to Les Wexner to go work for Victoria's Secret and not. Les Wexner was the one who gifted the house. He's the Victoria's Secret creator, started it, CEO.
So Michael Kives had houses where?
That house, Michael Kives has houses in the same town, same area as Les Wexner.
Yeah,
in Ohio.
In Ohio. He has
okay.
several houses in Ohio. This guy, Michael Kives, has houses everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So the letter to Michael Kives is kind of suspicious. And I went, once again, like looking at all this stuff, I don't know if I want to necessarily rely on George Webb and what he says. And a lot of stuff you can't connect the dots. But there seems to have been some knowledge of Michael Kives, and Tulsi has known him, because otherwise WikiLeaks wouldn't have released that letter, and a lot of people would have been talking about it. But also throughout the whole thing, and going on with this, they kind of also pointed out that John Podesta helped Tulsi Gabbard. Now, it was in 2012. We also, WikiLeaks, we got another letter too as well that showed Kirsten Gillibrand thanking Podesta for helping out Tulsi Gabbard.
Interesting.
So once again, you can see it right there. There's no real hardcore connection right here. There's just speculation. But I knew this stuff was going to start coming out and people were going to start talking about it. So I wanted to kind of point that out. We're trying to find out more about Michael Kives. If Michael Kives does have a direct line to Les Wexner, then things will become way more interesting and way more understanding. Now, CAA, we talked about these relationships with all these people. I mean, Kives worked for the Clintons at one point. So just something to see, something to look at. Once again, no hard evidence, but I'm kind of wondering, what does Tulsi Gabbard know about this situation?
But what do you mean?
Does she know these people?
But what do you mean? Like, what does she know? Like, do you mean like she is connected in a nefarious way? Or you mean like she just simply back then she received their help and then, that help stopped as soon as she went and endorsed. And after she came back and she started realizing, like, oh my God, this is so corrupt and blah blah blah. And the war was a lie. And then she stepped down and endorsed Bernie Sanders. It seems like all of that changed.
Absolutely.
Then when she left everything.
I believe that. I believe, but once again, my questions have always been, and some people, when you look at their chats, what is your most concerning thing? And people will say all this bullshit, the Modi, whatnot. And we've gone down all these things. I'm like, all right, it's nothing there. But the Council of Foreign Relations. A lot of people still question that. You know what I'm saying? And all I'm saying is, and once again, I don't know what she knows. I believe that she saw all the nefarious things and said, screw this shit, I'm walking away. They're never going to control me.
Right.
But, a lot of people are always wondering who knows what. You know what I'm saying? She's been around a lot. Maybe she knows some dark things about some people that haven't come to light right now.
Well, she was the only candidate to speak on Jeffrey Epstein, right?
Yes. Let's play that. You got that, right?
Yes, sir. Hold on, it's loading.
What's that?
It's not playing.
Oh no.
Well, we can read it, right?
It says, you have a multimillionaire named Jeffrey Epstein who went to jail in Florida for molesting girls. He was allowed to leave prison 12 hours a day, 6 days a week on a work release program, even allowed to return back to his mansion while he was serving time.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, that's I saw that tweet a while ago. That's a little ridiculous, like that he was allowed that much freedom. But of course he was.
Yeah.
I mean, he's Jeffrey Epstein. He was rich.
I just think in this world of what's going on, who knows what, who's got answers. Like I said, there's no really proof of anything right here. I just knew the links from Michael Kives would come out, and a lot of people are suspicious of why would Michael Kives himself go right after Tulsi. Well, these are powerful people, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, when I see Hillary Clinton attacking Tulsi, I'm like, oh, wait a second. What does Tulsi know? Like, Tulsi knows some shit to really bury some.
It seems like she's a threat, more than just to the military-industrial complex, but to the DNC and the Clintons and all of their. She said they're proxies, and so I think that says it all right there. I mean, these are all connected. These powerful people are all friends with each other, and so when you betray one of them, or when you betray your hierarchy and the opportunities that you were quote unquote given to them, they see it as betrayal. And they started smearing her right when she did that. And it hasn't stopped. And the moment she declared her presidency, it went on full force. So that's why I don't buy any of these smears against her, because they're coming from very, very powerful people. Very, very corrupt, elitist, powerful, rich people. people.
Yeah.
So bottom line, what are the facts here, and then what's your opinion on the situation?
My facts are the fact that Michael Kives reached out to Tulsi or said something to Tulsi when she left.
Michael Kives sent that letter.
Yes.
Basically, what?
Threatened. Now, I'm not gonna confirm anything that George Webb said about Tulsi back then. You know what I'm saying? And I have to look about what Michael Kives does. But Michael Kives is a very connected, dangerous person to be against. He, all those people within CAA, and once again, connected to the Clintons as well. I don't know what to really draw this, whatnot, other than this to say that we have to keep our eyes on situations like this and see what comes up. I'd like to know more about Michael Kives' connections. And then, I would like to know what the relationship was with Michael. Why is Michael Kives telling Tulsi that he's cutting her off? Like, what was the connection there? What do you know what's going on? You know what I'm saying? We know there was a relationship. What else?
I feel like maybe they were like, "Oh, hey, Tulsi, we really like what you're saying, and then we'll help out your campaign." And then they did that, and then she went and endorsed Hillary against what everyone was.
Bernie.
Bernie
Yeah.
against what everyone was saying to her.
Yeah.
So then they sent that letter, and then to even get into Congress, the John Podesta email says,
You have that one email? You showed it, right?
Yeah,
The Honolulu Star?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be Kirsten Grilliban thanking John Podesta for helping out Tulsi. I just think she's really pulling a Khaleesi here and going, you know what? That's it. I'm leaving you all, and I'm going to come back and slay you all with my dragon. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's what I'd love to believe and hope to believe. But, there are just other connections that we have to pay attention to. We have to be critical of and say, what's going on? What do you know? And for Hillary Clinton to freak out the way she did, it's more than just geopolitics and military and whatnot. I don't know. We don't know. But
Right,
we
so-
understand
so
who Michael Kives is now.
Yeah, the only facts basically are the Michael Kives letter, this letter
That's it.
from Kristen to John Podesta. I
Yep.
looked on open source,
Open Secrets.
Open Secrets to see if I could find any donations that Podesta made to Tulsi, and I couldn't find any.
Neither could
I did find that he did make donations to Kirsten Gillibrand. So
It could have gone through that way.
but she's going against the powers that be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
she's gonna have enemies. I think bottom line, like, she's gonna have enemies if she's calling them out.
Yeah.
I mean, she's gonna have stuff, and she's worked in the military. So
and I'm seeing in the chat that she's people are saying CFR is a bad thing
Council
to be
of Foreign
on. No,
Relations.
but it's the council. It's like everyone gets on a council when you're elected Congress member, right? You get to go on a
Council of Foreign Relations is a little bit different. Council of Foreign Relationships is some really dark, deep, like what is the global landscape going to look down the road? You know what I'm saying? Like what areas are we going to go into? Where we're going to control? Where we're going to put a monetary system? It really has a lot to do with the dark secrets of imperialism. And when she was on this show with us, Nico asked her about it, whatnot. She wasn't like a sitting member. She was like an observing member of sorts. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
but that is a question where people go, wait a second, what does she know about the elites? I thought her sitting on that board that she would know stuff back then. Sorry.
Exactly, and she's been on the Foreign Relations and Intelligence Committees, so
I think that's a good thing, though.
yeah,
I
that's what
think
I'm saying.
that,
So
like,
she
we need
knows.
people to know that we can trust to know these things on the inside. Like, again, I'm all for like going in places where you're on, like, it's unpopular. I'm all for talking to the other side. That's why I like Tulsi, because she has the same mindset, and I think it's important that we start getting outside of our echo
I didn't
chamber.
know the Council of Foreign Relations was a think tank.
Yeah.
It's an independent, nonpartisan member organization,
Exactly.
think tank, and
It's not-
publisher.
It's not like a Congress
Yeah, but
committee.
most think tanks are fucking sketchy, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of them are, you know what I'm
I
saying?
would say 99.9% of them are, even if they have good intentions. That's why I'm not for any big PACs, because it's like, even if they have good intentions, someone there has a narrative. Someone there has a bias. Someone there's gonna,
Yeah,
like,
no
just
doubt.
any kind of think tank. I'm not.
Yeah.
I just automatically like.
Well, even Deep says Council for Relationships gives the marching orders to the CIA. There's been long
Right.
connected ties with the CIA, the Council of Foreign Relationships, and that's why we're looking. And once again, I'm not saying that Tulsi's a mole by any means whatsoever. I'm saying I think she knows stuff. Remember this whole Epstein thing where a lot of people were praising Donald Trump? Donald Trump, he's gonna expose everything. He hadn't exposed squat.
Yeah.
Maybe Tulsi's the chosen child to expose this stuff. Who knows? But her time on the Council of Foreign Relationships and then showing links to when Michael Kives is going to come out against her. Michael Kives ain't writing an email to just anybody. He wanted to let her know, oh, girl, you done messed up. We're cutting you off. You You know what I'm saying? That's big, and that just shows you the guts. And let me tell you something. The reason why I think Tulsi is definitely gone away and is a lone person saying, you know what, I ain't messing with you on it's because WikiLeaks had to show us the letter. It wasn't public. She didn't talk about it. Nobody talked. WikiLeaks produced the letter and said, oh, look at this over here. These are some deep, dark, connected people in all of media. And let's take away the Kive stuff as far as his connections to Les Wexner, if he even has them or whatever, or the talent agents. Everything to George Webb, take it away. Kives is a big person, a connected person. We're talking about all of social media, all of mainstream media, all these people, all the announcers, all the commentators, all the pundits, they are all connected to CAA and Michael Kives. So if you go against him, you go against the machine. It's deep. It's dark.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a lot of interesting.
Yeah, there's also a lot of things that we
Points
don't know
and
for sure. So
connections
at this
there.
We
point,
don't.
when it's speculating, and
It's
I think we
all
have to be
This is
careful.
definitely
when-
speculation.
Maybe we have to be careful when we're speculating.
Absolutely. But, you know, the name on the letter to her is the only reason why I brought this up. Without that letter, without that email, we wouldn't even have this segment. I wouldn't go on what George Webb said by himself. You know, I pay attention to George, but sometimes I feel you got to cherry pick the information because George chooses to listen to certain things and not other things. You know, he even likes Bibi Netanyahu, and he likes him a lot, so that makes me question anything that George Webb says. But,
Do you guys
but then again, I
recognize-
pay attention.
Do you guys recognize any of these names? This is the CFR leadership. Richard N. Haas,
Rubenstein sounds
David
familiar.
Rubenstein, Blair Efron, Jamie
We should know these names.
No.
Kissinger Associates.
I don't know who any of those people are.
But
They're mainstream
Kissinger and
media.
Associates, that's all you need to know. The
Yeah.
Council of Foreign Relationship. It's about imperialism, world dominance. History is a long ways, but once again, Tulsi was there. We talked about it on this show. She said her position wasn't really big of that of significance.
Well, and
But
she-
I like it. It's eyes there.
And
for
she
me.
said it was about learning and about taking information in and stuff like that. I don't see her operating under anybody in any way, shape, or form. She's definitely very independent minded, and just the fact that she came on a lot of independent shows more than any other candidate says a lot.
Yeah. Anyways, we just want to point that stuff out because before it got out there, anybody can twist it in any way, shape, or form. So we will see. I'm sure we'll run into Tulsi here and there. We'll be able to ask questions about certain things here and there. So let's talk about in the headline news real quick. We just wanted to remind people, fam, of the scoreboard between Israel and Palestine. Fam, where all those people are saying that, Palestinians, they're provoking the Israelis. Well, Israeli has killed more than 222 Gaza protesters since 2018, and only one soldier has been indicted. You got anything to say about this? Because I know you're big on this subject.
I mean, I just think it's ridiculous that these abuses are going on and nobody's really talking about them. It takes independent journalists like Abby Martin to go and put out a movie. And then recently, Kim Iverson has gone, and
To the
she
West
was
Bank.
she was anti-BDS. Big time, to the point where people started calling her a racist. And then she went on this trip, and she didn't even go to Gaza. She just went to the West Bank, and she was talking about how it affected her, and you could see in her face that it affected her. And I firmly believe that that's what it's going to take for some people here in America, is to see how these Palestinians are treated, how their water is contaminated, how they can't rebuild their homes, how they can't even get homes because they're not approved, and then they have to do it illegally, and then they get demolished, and then how they can't just have normal lives where they're enjoying their life. They've gotten so used to living this way that they don't even think twice. But this is why, I want to go to these places, and I want to bring back even more footage, because if constantly these journalists go and Kim spoke about how they delete things quickly, so you got to put it on the cloud quickly. There's not really enough news for people to believe this, because I think people don't believe it. I think people are like, no, there's got to be not the other side. Hamas has got to be. They're using children. One of my friends said they're using children as human shields. That is a classic Israeli right wing go-to to say that Hamas is using children. That's not true. And so
just watch Gaza Fights for Freedom. Abby Martin.
Just watch that, but
Watch
also
that.
just look at the statistics as to
Scoreboard,
who's getting
I
killed
say.
this.
Look at UN statistics.
And the live Facebook
Trust the
videos
UN,
of some
though,
of these
is-
soldiers who literally point blank shoot people, and they're making a game out of it. They're cheering, they're having beers, they're watching
Posted on
these
Facebook.
people hunt these
They
people.
had a Facebook group where they would post those videos of
It's
them.
terrible.
I mean, I don't know how much more evidence you need, but apparently there's more. So that's why I just can't. Like, I think, and a lot of none of the politicians are right. They're against BDS, and I think that's wrong. I think they all need to be for BDS. BDS is a two-state solution. Politicians assume that BDS is a one-state solution. It is not. It is a two-state solution, just like they've been saying it is. And all it does is simply give Palestinians their rights. Again, that's all it does. So. Yeah.
Scoreboard is what I say. How many deaths on one side versus deaths on the other, and that's something you can't ignore anymore. What's really going on in Ecuador? I believe we talked about it yesterday on the show. Just want to point it out that the U.S. military is to use the Galapagos Islands as an imperial airstrip in a new deal with Ecuador. Why the people were getting out in the streets in Ecuador? They see their government once again bowing down and
To U.S.
imperialism and doing what they want to do. In fact, it was kind of crazy to see that more people in the country of Ecuador were protesting about Julian Assange getting handed over than the Americans here in the States. That is something that is really awful to be looked upon. That is also something that we want our politicians to get on, which none of them have really done a great job. Some of them have said some stuff. They haven't been awful, but once again, we want them to get up on that. It's important for Julian Assange to be freed. It's important for people
It's important for the First Amendment. It's important for journalism. It's important for the future of that.
The Max Blumenthal thing, another one. They're fascists. They're trying to suppress the voices of people, and it's not just the last administration with Obama. It's this administration with Donald Trump. And Bolivia and the regime change playbook is back in again. Evo Morales won another term, and the people in Bolivia went nuts. And you can see over here, I also believe I have a video as well.
Evo Morales is the socialist.
Yes.
But he's like the socialist president. And this leaves him really vulnerable. That's all I'm going to say. Today, we have reached 102 years of the Russian Revolution, which was funded by the working class, farmers, and soldiers who united fought against the monarchy until they achieved peace, bread, and equality on earth for the people. We honor the memory of the great socialist leaders of this historic time.
Wow.
So
they're talking about a real revolution.
I consider myself pretty left. This is pretty freaking left. I mean, for a president to say that just puts a giant target on him on Western pro-capitalist like imperialism. Yeah. Trust me, because like we don't even talk about Russians in any way, shape, or form in a positive way. All you hear in our media about Russians is completely negative. So the fact that he said this is to me like, wow. And Evo Morales, just so you guys know, he's indigenous. Like he's not a person of, he's not white at all. Bolivia. He's like an indigenous person from Bolivia. Bolivia has a huge indigenous population. And he was voted by the people, and he has been a very peaceful president. Bolivia has actually done really well lately.
Yep.
They've been like one of the few countries in Latin America that are doing like well, and it's really interesting how this is all happening under this type of president. Now, if we had more interest, if the U.S. had more interest like oil, if they were Venezuela and they had a lot of oil and resources, we would have been in there already. But we've been kind of keeping them at bay.
But we're messing around in there too as well. The regime change plan book is coming in. We're agitating funding again. The Chinese are moving their monetary system in there, moving in their infrastructure to help the Bolivian people out. And the IMF and Western elites don't want that, fam. And that's what this is all about, because the socialist revolution of the USSR, the hammer and sickle, was all about the workers, the farmers, standing up against elites. And that's what it's about. Evo Morales stands with the indigenous workers of his country. And I applaud him for that. And I applaud him for telling the United States, no.
And I just want to clarify, because there were many revolutions in Russia. Some of them had authoritarianism in nature. The revolution he's talking about was not that. And there's, I think, unfortunately in America, people all put it just like the right puts the left in one box. A lot of people in America put socialism in one giant box when it's not. It depends. There was a Bolshevik revolution. There was Stalin, which was the more authoritarian revolution. There's the Marxist-Leninist view. I mean, you have to really differentiate on this. And that's why, I'm going to start talking about what is democratic socialism. Just basic definitions. Like, what is it? What does it mean? Both in Spanish and English. Because I'm very happy for Bolivians because a lot of the Latin American community in the United States is heavily anti-socialist because the way it's been maligned in Latin America. Any sort of notion towards socialism. That's why you see Cubans being Republicans, because they hate the idea of socialism. They see it as something terrible. And a lot of Latin Americans in general see it as terrible, my parents included. And so I just feel like there needs to be an education as to what that is and what are you talking about and what are we supporting here, because there are facets of communism that led to authoritarianism. And that is different but that is like an entirely different ideology. But any sort of ideology, whether it's capitalism, socialism, can fall into being authoritarian. That's the bottom line.
And we have a super chat contribution from Jameson Doan. Thank you for the super chat contribution, as it is always appreciated on the couch. This Council of Foreign Relations, the CFR, serves as the U.S. local level role of NATO. It's designed to give credibility to the U.S. regime change and global empire under the guise of expertise.
Right.
I wonder what the Council of Foreign Relationships, they're not just doing NATO, baby. They're over in South and Central America sometimes, I bet.
Yep.
Messing around. And we also have a super chat contribution from Democracy. He's now over on the MCSC network. Thank you so much. The BDS leader interview shows it's a one state. Fam, I'll let you argue with Democracy about that.
Nah. I've talked directly to people on the ground, and they're like, no, it's a two-state solution. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like there's different groups that want different solutions, but the BDS itself never says that they want to make Israel not a state anymore.
They want to go back to like the 1972 or something.
They want to go back to some of the lines, and even that. I mean, I think they'd be willing to work with it if they would just stop getting killed and shot at. Yeah. Like, I mean, at this point, they just want basic human rights violated. Water. Yeah.
Water.
Like,
can we get some water?
Can we get some food? Like, they're malnourished. Yeah. I mean, it is not. I think people need to see the images before they have an opinion, because honestly, like, when I hear people like who don't know much about it talk about how like, no, they're not. This is all like exaggerated. I'm like, no, you guys, it's really it's offensive, because it's like, this is not the truth. The truth is that what's happening is like they're treating them ironically in many ways, the way that the Nazis treated the Jews. And it's very, very sort of ironic, and the universe playing a sick joke on us. But it's really, really freaking bad. And even Bernie Sanders was called out against what's going on in Palestine. And like I said, I want Tulsi to speak on the issue, because I haven't heard enough. And
like I've said before, I recommend everyone go watch this Gaza Fights for Freedom. It's only $6 to rent. And even though Abby Martin smeared Tulsi a little bit, or she didn't really smear.
She said it was
like a hard criticism.
Yeah.
It was a hard
criticism.
Being on Michael Brooks kind of.
Yeah. Super chat contribution on the MCSC
This film
network.
is fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yes, it is. It's amazing. Life of Brian said, and Life of Brian, Jilly Love, Roll Cow, Darren Alevi, get on over to the Convo Couch YouTube. We didn't see you for a little while Nico had a strike and we were missing, and we weren't able to stream live on both.
Come on ours.
Help, love both sides, brothers and sisters, yes. But make sure you're also with us. We need the subscriber count to help us out. Life of Brian says there's a video of Hillary Clinton, then senator, saying, I'm so happy for this Council of Foreign Relations in here in D.C. to tell us what to do. This is almost verbatim. Yeah. That was Hillary Clinton, my friends. Sure. Nico was all over the chat. I understand, Nico, that George did not get the positions right of what Tulsi was doing, what not, but we just wanted to connect some dots. Like I said, George Webb is not always great on everything, but he can lead you down some rabbit holes.
I think he's great on very little, but...
He can lead you down some rabbit holes. And listen, George Webb goes to a lot of those court hearings and he sits in them and then he reports, where a lot of the mainstream media won't do that.
No, even a lot of these YouTubers, they don't go on these to these places. They just sit down and like, come on, go to these hearings, go to these things.
But you can't deny the connections. You cannot deny that letter. And we got to look more into what Michael Kives has done is outside. I think Robbie Jagler's article hit it the best. That is a great article. If you haven't got a chance to go back there, Tulsi Gabbard's got friends in high places. It's an awesome article. Read it. He wrote it. He's a contributor to the MCSC network.
Enemies or friends?
What's that?
Enemies or friends?
Who?
Tulsi, you said Tulsi Gabbard has friends in high. You met
Enemies and friends in high places.
Oh.
So once friends, now enemies, whatever.
Oh.
It's enemies now. And Kives made that
but
apparent.
the title was enemies.
Enemies
right?
in high places and stuff.
Because friends makes it sound like she's like part of it.
No,
like,
no. But once again, I think she's seen inside the door. I think she's been inside the building, seen the crap. Now she's on the outside. Is what will come out down the road. You have a video, I believe, of the Bolivian one, right? Because this also happened too as well. We talk about the regime change playbook, fam, that we're going to intensify the issues, and that's what we do. Once we find there's a protest or an area, we pour gasoline on top of it and build the fire higher. Here is a Bolivian. She's a mayor of a small town, and she was by anti-Morales supporters. Watch what they do.
Las movilizaciones populares lo que exigen hoy es que el gobierno dé un paso atrás y reconozca que ha cometido un fraude y establezca un respeto al voto y a la democracia.
El resultado del informe de auditoría será vinculante para las dos partes. La auditoría electoral iniciará el día 31 de octubre de 2019.
To be supportive. And you saw the cops there, and what I saw from recently is the cops are trying to do almost what they were doing in Nicaragua, not trying to be, and in Hong Kong, don't be, brutal, just try to keep the peace, try to stay behind, try to whatnot. So there's been clashes between the protesters on both sides, and the cops are kind of in the middle, just trying to keep the peace. The audit is supposed to take about 3 weeks. We got about a week left, and hopefully the audit will come in, and it will show that Evo Morales did one fair and square. But just like in any other country, there's an elitist class that wants him out, and they don't care. They want him gone. The IMF has been thrown out of freaking Bolivia. China's coming in. They're coming in to help with the infrastructure. And the elites in the East, the elites in the West, they don't want it, fam.
Yeah,
they want him out.
that makes sense.
They want him out. He's been one of the greater indigenous leaders around now. So we'll just keep our eyes on that as well. But your girl, Elizabeth Warren, believes there should be billionaires, fam. Shouldn't there?
Yeah, exactly.
Let me say I got some change in my billionaire pockets over here.
Elizabeth Warren has been taking Bernie's grassroots idea. She's constantly talking about that grassroots supporter. She even says her grassroots movement is in danger of being taken down by Wall Street and the billionaires. But other than telling Bill Gates that she's not going to really come after him that much, she also said that she believes in the billionaires' right to exist. She told Amy Goodman from Democracy Now! That she disagrees with Bernie. Can we just play the video, Johnny?
Look, somebody has a great idea, and they follow it through, and they
that
work
wasn't the
hard,
beginning.
and they build something. Bernie Sanders says there should be no billionaires. Do you agree with that? No. Why not? Look, somebody has a great idea, and they follow it through, and they work hard, and they build something. Good for them. Bernie Sanders says there should.
So here's the
same thing she's saying.
Here's the problem with with her statement, though. You're assuming that these people worked hard and they were able to make $1 billion because they worked hard. That's not true. You don't become a billionaire by simply working hard. You become a billionaire by exploiting other people, by cutting corners and making sure that you make that money, even if you're lying to somebody, even if you're tricking somebody. That is how billionaires get to be billionaires. That, or you have a trust fund already and you come from like this elitist money making family. So to put out, still continue perpetuating the idea, oh, good for you that you made it here, that you got here. First of all, it's bullshit because this economy just isn't that anymore. And second of all, it's just wrong because you're acting like that's a real thing. Exploiting other people to get to the top, pay no taxes, and pretty much just squash everybody isn't good for them. And that's primarily the difference between her and Bernie Sanders. And that's bottom line why I can't stand Elizabeth Warren, because like she's talking about a grassroots movement while still keeping the same mechanisms that led to the situation we're in now. She's going to continue that. So
we're just one world of resources. Not one person shouldn't own that many resources. And that's what money equates to nowadays. It's resources. How much control of resources are you allowed to have? No, we should not have billionaires. Nobody should have that much money. They should not be able to control that many resources. We're human beings. We have to share this world. Yep. We have to take care of Mother Nature together collectively. And not one person should have that much money and should have that much power. Jameson Doan's Super Chat contribution also says, Tulsi CFR ties are worrying. She needs to explain. She kind of explained it on the show. She talked about it.
This has been a long time. Like, this has been out for a while.
Yeah, it's been out.
It is, but
and
a lot of people didn't catch on to it because they really didn't know who the CFR is. And as they're finding out who the CFR is, they're kind of digressing to say, well, we need to have some answers. That's what they're saying right now. And
I just feel like that's unfair because it's like, yeah, you need to have answers, but then you have to have answers from every single person that was involved in that. And also look into how her position has shifted from the moment before she endorsed Bernie Sanders to the moment after she endorsed Bernie Sanders.
I have no problems with her being on the CFR back then. I questioned it, but she doesn't hide it. She explains it.
Right.
And once again, Tulsi has never shied away from talking to anybody controversial, who's controversial, being in the room with controversial people. It happens. It's what she does with it and her attitude now. And once again, they're all about regime change, and her message is anti-regime change. So she saw it, she didn't like it, and she stepped away from it.
I mean, policy history as a congresswoman, and then the fact that she's calling out Hillary Clinton, and she supported Bernie, you know.
Yeah, and the military-industrial complex she's calling out, and
she's calling out the military-industrial complex
like
all the time.
Everybody that's corrupt.
No PAC money.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. It's all individual contributions, right?
It is. There's no PAC money whatsoever.
Even good PAC money. None of it.
Yeah. Super Chat contribution $3 from GEC 111111112 says fist bump. Boom, you got to give a fist bump over there. It's a Super Chat contribution. And remember, your Super Chat contribution is always appreciated on the couch. And Jameson Doan says, no, I'm saying her answer wasn't very good. I'm assuming that the answer she had on the show you're talking about, when we talked about the Council of Foreign Relations, hey, maybe we'll talk to her about it again. Email us if you want to go in a little bit depth, a little bit more information down the road. So we have to move on to the next last topic because it's the best topic of the day, fam. Somebody was released from prison.
Yes.
Somebody we talked about months ago. Someone we said we have to save the pink dolphins, and if we don't release this man and we unjustly jail him, thank you very much, there's the pink dolphin. Lula has been released and has endorsed Bernie Sanders, Jeremy Corbyn. It's great that these leftists around the world are coming out. Freedom, here we are. This is big. We did a show on this, fam, and it says, as President Lula has done more to anyone to lower poverty in Brazil and to stand up for workers, I am delighted that he has been released from jail. Something that should have never been happened in the first place. I'm sorry if I stuttered a little bit there. No, it should have never happened in the first place. We kind of talked about it. But let's be honest, nobody really, in our Congress, nobody really spoke out except for people like Glenn Greenwald.
Mm-hmm.
We gave it up. And Johnny, we have a video, right? We're not going to play the video right now. But guys, we had a video we did this months ago. Go and watch it. It really has Lula speaking from prison, some of the great things he said. This guy didn't have a college education. He even said, I wouldn't change my place with some of these people who do have a college education because his compassion, his love to help the poor. This is one of my favorite leaders, fam, and I am so glad that he has now been released from prison. Isn't it great?
It's great, fam. The pink dolphin.
The pink dolphin. Oh, there you are. Look at him.
Now he needs to get involved again and be in office again.
Absolutely.
And he needs to also protect himself because Marielle, I believe, the woman that was killed, they found ties to Bolsonaro's people, who were probably involved in her murder.
Yeah.
So it's these things where I think he's in a position of danger, and I think he's so pivotal to leftism. But another thing that I want to point out is that this populist movement, people keep asking, how can somebody so radical, so leftist like Bernie Sanders win against Donald Trump? And it's like, well, he's the only one that can in that way because he's the antithesis with his populist leftist movement to Trump's right-wing populist movement. And I think we have to see that no Biden, no Warren is going to beat Donald Trump.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
Here's what Lula said. Thank you for your solidarity. You have always been my candidate for the U.S. presidency, and I hope Democrats have the wisdom to nominate a candidate with your worldview. I hope American workers will make you the U.S. president. I think that's a good way to end today, isn't it, fam?
That is perfect.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, just one last reminder. We want you to go over to our Rockfin. Rockfin now has an app over here. Get on over.
There's an app
like the CONVO couch over there if you can.
I think it's only on the Apple Store.
It's only on the Apple Store?
Someone was saying they couldn't find it in the Google Store or whatever.
Well, we'll look into that. We'll make sure we update with our people and get it on there. But Rockfin, download the Rockfin app now. If you can, endorse the CONVO couch over there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a cryptocurrency-based platform.
Blockchain-based.
Blockchain to help take away the power of the YouTube and the oligarchs. For Pasta Jardula.
And Fiorella Isabel.
Jonny Sue is still on those ones and twos.
Peace.
CONVO out.